Hey guys, it's Lisa. I know, long time no see. Before I actually start this video, I want to do a couple of things. First of all, I'm using a new video editor, so I'm using a new background, and I have realized that that accentuates every little single curl that is out of place. So, hopefully in the future I'll be able to fix that. The other thing is, okay, so I actually have a list here of things to cover. So just a few things to cover before I actually start what this video is about. And that is that, okay, I already told you I'm using a new video editor. I've kind of found my voice. I don't know if you guys ever watch the Food Network and the Food Network star, and they're always like, find your voice, find your voice. And as time has gone on, I've kind of found my voice, and my voice is Bright Line Eating, of course, and veganism and weight loss with veganism. And I've also recently really been into zero waste, and I've also, I just have kind of some odds and ends and some homeschooling stuff. So I'm actually going to just be morphing my channel into covering some of those subjects each day. And as I have found my voice, I have started taking my channel a lot more seriously. And so as I'm going to be using a new video editor, I'm going to try to be uploading more consistently. And yeah, so that's that. And then, so just different subjects. I'll try to clearly mark them so that you're not forced to watch a homeschool video if you wanted to see what I ate for Bright Line Eating, anything like that. I will be messing with the video editor for a little bit. I do have 5 kids, so it's not like I have a ton of time to sit around messing with video editors. So, you know, go with me, go with the flow as I figure it out slowly. The final thing is I am going to have an upload extravaganza. So I have been on vacation with my family for a little bit, and I've been taking a lot of footage, but I have not been able to upload it due to inconsistent connections or just timing or being at family's house or whatever. So I am essentially going to be uploading all of that footage in the next 24 to 48 hours. So you will be seeing a bunch of videos. Those are not going to be done with the new video editor. Well, maybe they will. We'll see. I don't know if I can upload those to the... Anyway, we'll see. So just kind of like I said, forgive, and yeah, that's it. So without further ado, I'm going to move on to the subject at hand. So as I mentioned, I have been on vacation with my family. We actually went to a party in Missouri for my mother-in-law's 80th birthday. And we actually did that in conjunction with our annual 4th of July trip, and we stopped to see some other family of mine on the way. And anyway, so it was a long trip. So I wanted to cover the 5 things that I learned on this trip, and this is kind of a little different than my previous Bright Line travel things, because I in the past have been able to control everything. This time I was not able to control everything. So my number one thing is things do not always go as planned, and sometimes despite your best efforts you just have to go with the flow. So what I mean by that is I had all my Bright Line meals laid out, and I was going to get up the next morning and make 3 days worth of meals. That night, a bear got into our compost bin and pretty much destroyed our compost bin, destroyed our back porch, and left us with a huge amount of cleanup the next day. I actually took the pieces of the compost bin and stuck them in the shed, and I was really hoping the bear didn't revisit the shed. So we do live in Colorado Springs, right at the base of the mountains, and yes, we have bears. And I thought, since the bear had not bothered it this entire time, that we were safe. We were not safe. I still don't know what I'm probably going to keep my compost bin in the shed. I don't know if the bear can break in there or not, but I guess we will find out. Anyway, hours and hours and hours spent cleaning up after the bear. I did not actually get to packing my meals, and so I thought I'll just do them as I go. That turned out to be a complete mess. We didn't have the time. We were kind of on a timeline because we were visiting family, and we weren't having a full-on hour here and there for me to make my meals. In one of the videos I made, it was the first time I actually tried it, and it worked, but it was definitely a time-consuming thing, and it became less and less available. So I did some kind of iffy Bright Line things on the way. So as if that was not iffy enough, we were trying to be zero waste on the trip, or at least less waste, and then my scale broke. my scale broke on my trip. How unfair is that? Okay, so my scale broke. So then, once again, we were on this tight timeline with family and stuff. So I got these little pads because I was going to fix my scale because I thought it was kind of like just wonky. And then the pads kept falling off and it kept being wonky. So then I had to just guesstimate my meals. And it was okay. I don't think I gained any weight on the trip or anything. It was okay, but I definitely like allowed for inner chatter, but I just had to go with the flow, and it was what it was, and that's, So that was my number one thing. Just the unexpected will happen, and sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to do the best you can, and don't use it as an excuse. I'm actually going to get to that. So number two, sometimes you just have to adapt and overcome. For me, some of that adapting and overcoming was something that some of you will think was not Bright Line and some of you will think was okay. I was in a couple situations where I actually used a Lara bar for my food. I didn't really have access to anything else, and a Lara bar I used the 3-ingredient one. It does have dates. I know dried fruit is not allowed on the Bright Line plan, and I don't think I would have been able to handle it in the beginning, but I was able to handle it. It didn't leave me craving or anything like that. And I just a lot of that is if you do have to venture out, or when I ventured out to kind of outside my comfort zone, just due to being where I was and things like that, I wrote it down. Like the night before, I wrote it down. I am going to have a Lara bar and a banana, and that is what I'm going to have. My breakfasts were usually pretty Bright Line consistent because I just knew at the hotel I was going to be able to get probably oatmeal. Often they didn't have bananas. It's a good thing I had my own bananas, and I usually brought some Wow Butter because sometimes they didn't have a protein of any sort. So my breakfast was fairly consistent. I knew I was always going to be able to get oatmeal generally, but my lunches, that was when I would write down, I'm going to have a Lara bar and a banana, and that was so writing it down kept me from going, maybe I'll have another Lara bar, or maybe I'll have another banana, and it wasn't ideal, but it did keep me from, kind of throwing caution to the wind and being like, well, I guess that's it, I might as well go to Taco Bell. So that was what I had to do to adapt and overcome. Okay, the third thing is no excuses. You have to take responsibility, and what I mean by that is if there are fruits and vegetables available, but your Bright Line meal is not perfect, like you don't have the perfect amount of protein, or you don't have the perfect amount of anything, or you don't have a scale, then don't use that as an excuse to go eat cookies. Just have a big salad. Most people do have olive oil. This was at my sister-in-law's house. I just had a big salad, and I just used some olive oil and vinegar on it, and I was fine. I didn't have the perfect protein. I often didn't have the perfect fruit. I certainly didn't have a scale to weigh it on, but it really made me realize that in the past in my dieting, or my Weight Watchers and all that, I have usually been like, well, there was nothing I could do. I'll start on blank. I'll start when we get home, or I'll start on Monday, or whatever. So, and that every time you give yourself an excuse, it's very difficult to get back on track. So the difference this time was that I didn't allow myself that excuse. I just said, I wrote it down, and then sometimes when I just had to see what we were having, I would just, have the salad, and it wasn't an excuse to have cookies or cake or anything like that. And actually, I'm kind of proud of the fact that I haven't had flour or sugar for almost a year. July 26th will be my 1-year Bright Line anniversary, and so I'm pretty proud of that, and I don't want to mess it up at this point. And my baby is going to make it, so I have to do something. Okay, number 4. Don't let stress get the best of you. Stress is stressful, and I'm a little bit of an introvert. I know I don't seem that, but I'm talking to a camera. I'm not talking to a bunch of people in person. I'm kind of introverted, and it makes it very difficult. I'm a little bit of a black sheep in my family. I'm a little bit of a white, a little bit less traditional than a lot of my other family members, and sometimes that can make me ultra shy, and that adds to the stress. Just being introverted, not necessarily being exactly like everybody else, being very different from everyone else, and being in a situation that is unknown can be very stressful. So acknowledge the stress and move on. You are not hungry, you are stressed. I had to do a little zen talking to myself. In fact, there were a couple times that I used the upstairs bathroom on purpose so that I could just be by myself and remind myself that I was stressed, not hungry, and that if I went downstairs and pigged out on whatever, whether it was salad or dried fruit or whatever, that it was only going to make me feel fat, bloated, and even more insecure. So whatever works for you, don't let stress get the best of you. All right, and then last but not least, oh, this is a good one. It's probably the one I should have put at the very beginning. Someone, yes, someone there will always be someone who will tell you just a little bit won't hurt you. Just a little. Oh, just have a little cake. Just have a little cookie. Just have a little piece of bread because it won't hurt you. A little bit won't hurt you. It might not hurt them. I mean, I don't know, in some cases, some of the people that said that to me were not actually thin or healthy, but hold on. So as I was saying, not everyone is thin and healthy, and some people are thin and healthy, and they probably have a good relationship with food, and they feel like they can tell you, yeah, a little bit isn't gonna hurt you. But if you're anything like me, and you probably are if you're doing Bright Line Eating, and that is, I've never been able to have one Hershey's Kiss without finishing the bag. I've not been able to have one bite of cake without sneaking the whole cake into the bathroom and eating the rest of it. I've never been able to have one cookie and not eat 15 more or until the whole pan is gone. You know, I've never been able to sample the brownies I baked and not finish it off and then be like, maybe I'll just pretend I never baked brownies and wash all the pans so nobody knows because the brownies are gone. So in my case, a little bit does hurt. And if you've been bright lining for a while, you know that that food is poison to me and you wouldn't take one single bite of poison. So so I had to remind myself, yeah, no, it is. It is poison to me, and they don't know what they're talking about. So anyway, those are the 5 things I learned while on this trip. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and like I said, I'm going to be having an uploading extravaganza, and I'm going to be using a new video editor. And please give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Please comment down below if you have any suggestions or comments or anything, and don't forget to subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon.